Hello everyone, my name is Arun. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I like to talk a few things and mention some general tips that you have to keep in mind so that you can save your system and yourself, save your system and your all your data from any kind of antivirus attacks virus attacks or malware attacks or some kind of cyber security attacks. Now, the reason why I put this is because earlier in my previous video I talked about some of the things that you have to keep in mind and what happens because of this WannaCry ransomware. And since that WannaCry ransomware turned out to be a global impact globally affecting cyber attack, I thought it will be better I just mention some things that you have to keep in mind, some simple things, not too complicated, but some simple things that you can actually keep in mind for working with this. So the first tip that you have that I would recommend, not only me but many people would recommend this, is that get or use licensed software. If you're using some software that is actually proprietary, buy it. Or if you're using some software that is properly licensed, okay, use it as per the license agreements. Okay, so this includes even the operating system as well. The reason is because when you come under the license agreements, they give you updates and upgrades and patches and security services and maintenance that will actually help you to solve any problems in the future if it were to come. Okay, now the reason why I'm emphasizing this point in particular is because when this malware attack when this ransomware WannaCry came and started attacking computers throughout the world, the major countries that got affected are actually Russia, China, and even to some extent India. And in these countries, many people use pirated versions of operating systems. So many of them are cheap, they're pirated, and as a consequence, they don't get updated very often. So if there are any vulnerabilities in the operating system and the software, they are not treated properly. As a consequence, if something like this happens in the future, they are the ones who get affected, and they clearly got affected because Microsoft had a problem, and had they installed the updates properly, then this would not have happened. Okay. Second thing that I would actually mention is that if you're using free and open source software, okay, even OS for that matter, make sure you get those from some trusted sources. For instance, if you're using Linux or Unix, the community behind developing Linux and Unix is very strong in the sense they make sure that they thoroughly test all the software, so that they make sure that there aren't any viruses or any malicious program that get installed in an operating system. Okay, and if you're like a Windows user or something, make sure that the software is reliable and make sure that it passes through it's verified and given certification by several people to make sure, and okay, so that you can actually install this with not much of a problem. The reason why I'm specifying this is because many software that can come from the internet that are available on the internet, they might be malicious malware, and when you install them, several other additional programs can get installed, and that might actually collapse your system. So it's always better to make sure that you get get the software from trusted sources. If it's a proprietary, obviously there is some kind of a person with whom you can talk and consider about. But if it's a free and open source, mostly it will be safe, but on the safer side, make sure you get it from trusted sources. Third point is actually an extension of the first point. Okay, gradual extension of the first point. Regularly update your software and OS. These updates are actually important because whenever a software is released, it may not be in its completely perfect state. There might be some security issues, some loopholes or something like that, which other software or other pen can use or manipulate to get some advantage. So if you install updates for your software and operating system on a regular basis, chances are that those fixes, those problems or vulnerabilities, if they are found, you can actually rectify them, and as a consequence, you will not get into trouble. Consequently, chances are that you will not get into trouble because of this. All right. The fourth thing is actually again an extension of the first one. Do not keep an outdated operating system or a software for a very long time. If an operating system is outdated or it's in the verge of getting outdated, that is all, whether it's an operating system or a software, be on the lookout for a new operating system or a software, the latest version, and then get it installed. Okay, I understand if because of sentimental reasons or nostalgic reasons, or because of you're so accustomed to the older one. Okay, then you might be unwilling to change. I totally understand that. I totally sympathize with that. But the thing is, don't let that sympathy make a cloud your judgment. If a software or operating system is considerably old or reaching state of outdated, get a new one. That's always better, because of a newer one, it will have newer features, a newer facility, and at the same time, the chances of the certain kinds of vulnerability or issues to exist will be less. Okay, and that's the thing. And this is actually another point that I would like to mention. Although this is actually although it's may not be that much important for all the users, but it's worth mentioning. What you have to do is that every now and then just read about the software and operating system and get to know the news as to what's happening. That way you'll be well informed about what's happening in the operating system and in the software. So if there are any issues, you can actually fix it very quickly and safeguard yourself. Okay, and the next point I would like to mention is always, if you're using a Windows operating system for that matter, always have a functioning antivirus and update it and keep it up to date every date. That will help you a long way. The internet has become so wide and open that many people can release viruses. So it's actually better to have an antivirus to protect yourself. If you don't have it, the chances are that you get affected even faster. That's the whole point here. And always have a backup of all your data. If you're fortunate enough, nothing will happen. But if you fall into some kind of an unfortunate scenario wherein your system got affected, then the chances are that you might need, if there is data is gone and there's no backup, then all your work or all the things that you have kept will be gone, and that's really painful. I perfectly understand that. For someone who lost so much of data because of some mishap, I can totally understand that. So that's why I'm telling you. That's why it's always better to keep a backup. That way, even if some kind of an attack like this happens, you always have the software, so that you can always install the software and restore the data with very less annoyance. There's going to be a minor inconvenience, but hey, that's at least it's better. You're well better if you have backup. And then in general, if you work, especially if you're on the internet, and looking at emails and all, do not reply to spam messages. Do not always keep a strong password for your operating system, web servers, web accounts like Facebook, Yahoo, email, Gmail, like that. For all your accounts, keep a very strong password, and every now and then change your password and keep a note of all those passwords, and do not share your password or private information on the internet. Actually, it's actually recommended to not to share password even to your to your family members or something like that, unless otherwise it's very crucial. Okay, and be cautious about the websites you visit, and make sure that websites have some kind of a security clearance. And whenever you finish logging into a particular account like Facebook or Yahoo or Gmail or email or any kind of email or something like that, do always log out. Especially do this if you're in some kind of a private and public internet, especially in public internet, like internet cafes or something like that. Do that. Otherwise, if you don't, there's a chance that somebody might have access to your account when you're not there, and they might actually, if the person is good, it's fine. If the person turns out to be non-trustable, and always scan USBs for virus. Like if you get any USB or some hard disk from somebody else or used it in some other system, always plug it and scan for viruses. If you do all this, chances are that you will not be affected very often. You will be very less affected by these kind of issues, and your system will be safe. Alright, so that's all I have for you all in this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.